the chip from China, right? I hope.
It was my brother.
Oh,
My brother was joining from
China would be so much more interesting.
Hey guys. Hey to no one. This.
Yeah, try and get this thing on the Wi-Fi.
It's written on the board over there. We moved the board though.
So what's tonight's theme?
We're talking about projects. So
Oh, just everybody's project?
yeah,
Oh,
all kinds of stuff. Did you bring
finally
one?
have a project that's more noteworthy.
Is it in your pocket?
We'll be a decider of that.
You'll be deciding of that. I said more noteworthy. That wasn't. I just started it this week though, so pretty fresh.
One is to have standard.
Hey, we have a
size
viewer.
things
Can
for
you
kids.
say something in chat? I can't see who it
You had to
is.
use the wires and solder.
No,
That's just sitting there.
No, this is a toner transfer board.
Oh, okay.
I
Hey, did I hear someone?
And he doesn't seem to be having. He can fly. I mean, he needs a big open space because it's not too
Which one
controlled.
you are?
How cool.
Yes, it's a better drum.
Wow, that is pretty crazy.
So
Oh, you just
I actually stole
yeah,
this
I
from
was-
someone else's. Yeah, it's just HTML. And I have a scene here. I hit the scene. It'll rotate.
Oh, I don't know. That's
Oh,
going
that's
deeper
awesome.
So
than
a slower
than I
version
know.
is the same.
I'm more of a software guy.
All on, all off.
Oh.
But there are
Right,
people
right.
who could answer that question. Should we start? We have a pretty good group. Let's begin. I've got audio going out. We have
Code that I used for
right now we're
Halloween,
flipping
but I
between
didn't
0
think
and
that's
1
it.
viewer.
It's
So
only lightning mode here.
we may or may not have anyone who cares that we have audio. Let's do intros. So let's go around. Do you want to start here? We'll just do intros. I'll take notes.
Paul Shelley. I do iOS development and into Arduino microcontroller stuff. So, yeah.
That's what.
What are you working on? So right now I'm working on a project. I don't know if anybody's seen these light blue beam, and there's a lot of other like Arduino and stuff like that. So a lot of them kind of require to do more interesting stuff, like a companion app with the phone, and a lot of them ship with. They have kind of like a little app where you can have like they just have like tons of sliders and stuff that send values. So I'm working on an iOS app that you can custom like layout buttons however you want, and they'll send different commands to the Bluetooth device over Bluetooth. So you can basically make like a little remote or control that goes with your hardware project without needing to code all the Objective-C stuff.
And that's called Light Blue Beam?
This is called Light Blue Beam. My project's to work with this.
Punchthrough.com.
Punch through.
Yeah.
Designs.
Was this a Kickstarter originally,
It was crowdsourced funded last year.
or Indiegogo? So that's what
It
I
was
think
not Indiegogo. It was an independent. I forget what it is, but there's
I was saying
a
this.
open source web like backend that you can do to do your own crowdsource funding campaigns.
Mhm.
That's what they use. I forget what it's called. Like I don't remember.
Tell me your first name again.
Paul.
Paul. Okay. I'm just making notes. You can see them on the screen there.
So they're pretty cool. I like these little modules. I got a bunch of them. I want to expand the app. Like once I get it working nice with this, I want to make it work with like Arduino or some of the other kind of off the shelf, like built-in Arduino Bluetooth stuff. So there's quite a number of them.
$30, not bad.
Yeah.
For built-in Bluetooth.
It's got a little Omega 328 on it. And
Are you going to be able to come in the hot seat and talk about it? Do you want to do that? As we
Present.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have that much to show tonight.
Oh, that's
Because I
fine.
started it 2 days ago, so. But I have the start of the app and stuff built. Some of the UI is in place, and
Oh.
some of the connecting and stuff.
Okay. Cool. All right, continue. Let's go over here.
Matt Nelson. Been here, what, 6-7 months running now, I think. Yeah. Working on a bunch of stuff. If we want to show, we can show later. But I've got a couple of 3D printers. I like playing with them. I like building stuff. I like breaking stuff. I break more stuff than I build stuff. And then I try to put it back together differently, I guess. How else am I going to learn? And you know, you take something apart and you end up with leftover pieces, but it still works. You wonder why they need those pieces in the first place.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I've got a few projects. My main project right now is a telescope that's controlled. It's got a bunch of separate motors. It's controlled by a Microsoft phone. So, but yeah, it's still in the printing phase.
We're out of phones.
We're just doing intros, so
Yeah.
have a seat and we'll come around to you. All right, thanks, Matt.
I'm Sam. I play with Arduinos right now, and I'm thinking about going into the ones we looked at last week, these docs, because the Bluetooth would allow me to interface several. I could do it wirelessly.
Okay. In my notes, I wrote that you're burning out boards all the time. Right?
Yeah, and I keep burning up my Arduino.
Okay. So, John, right?
Yeah, I'm John, and I just do lots of projects using microcontrollers. I don't really have anything that exciting on the plate at the moment, but I work with a friend who has some model trains and some automating system. So you said you were going to do something with model trains.
Yeah, yep. We're trying. The board just arrived. So,
Okay.
all right. So back into the corner there, Will.
Well, I like lots of crazy stuff. Easier the better. Far along as you can get it.
You didn't say Bitcoin, but I'll put it down there.
Yeah.
VR.
You gotta say VR too.
VR.
Bitcoin, VR, artificial intelligence, robot. What else?
You're in the VR group. Are you one of those?
I am. I'm
One of the founders of the VR group.
Yeah. I got some cards too.
It's the virtual reality.
Virtual reality. Yeah.
Here's some cards I'm going to take.
Shameless plug.
VR.
All right.
I'm Tracy. I'm a bundle that's out here by the dumpster. I just came in to get one.
Right.
Right now, I'm a very beginner. Enough so I embarrass myself whenever I talk about it, because I don't know as much as any kid in high school. And my mouth seems to be worse than that. So, you know, I've got a couple of things I'm building, but they're just so, it's such a low level, it's just not worth it.
That's how all the things that I'm going to talk about are.
Oh, come on. Today I played with op amps trying to get a signal boosted from a load sensor. And because it was taking me, 3 stages to get it up to the point where you're going to be 5 volts where you're going to read it, I thought of actually using it as the feedback resistor. And that didn't work because that sure as hell wasn't a linear feedback. So I buy more op amps, and then I want to eventually get that into reading the graph on the computer from your Arduino. But I've got to learn programming shit.
All right. Yeah. Keep going.
I'm Kim. I play with a lot of stuff, don't get much done. I'm really interested in all the stuff that I'm doing, but there seems to be too many distractions. So I like the Raspberry Pi. I'm really comfortable with Linux. I'm trying to get comfortable with languages like trying to see how the Pi works with Arduino. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to do with the Arduino at this time. I actually just got a drone. Actually, I've got 3 drones. And I'm not that good with drones. So I'm just learning.
I should have brought one of my quads. I have one that is almost still flyable.
How big is it?
I got one of the tiny ones.
Oh, I got one like this. I got one like this out in the car.
Oh yeah.
But it's one of those little field things. It's a good learning tool.
Yeah.
Because there are so many axes on these quadcopters.
Yeah.
And then when you spin them around, it just changes everything completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So getting used to controlling those and getting your muscle memory going, I suppose it'll happen someday.
It's
has
great
yet.
training. Yeah, they say it's great for your brain.
I just get a fat shark. New first person flyer. So, you know,
That's too easy.
that's what I mean.
Well, I got the little tiny one, so my big $1,000 will go off in the White House lawn or something.
What's your big
You
one?
need a
Like,
kill
like
switch.
a DJI or something?
What is the vision?
Yeah, Vision. Cool.
I am on.
Hi, Mark.
Yeah, I've got a lot of things that I've looked at, but I haven't done it. I bought a little, you know, Arduino kit and goofed around with that a little bit, just kind of and other things on it. I wanted to see the space here. I was going to do some like 3D printing project I wanted to do. And I've got another project with some LEDs. I actually do have a project that would fit an Arduino type of microcontroller program in aquaponics. So,
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm James. If you want to write on there, Bitcoin, BRAI. And recording.
What?
Procoder. I'm trying to work on getting an AT Tidy 441, which is to work with the Arduino library. So it's got two UARTs. It's an interest that just came out. Which we built onto. And I'm trying to use it to get C-Safe to talk to YouTube. For mobile phone talking with. So that way mobile phones can talk to C-Safe on
Okay. That sounds fun. Okay, should I go? I'm Brad Midgley. I'm the host. I'll put down my name in our notes. I've talked about a robotics project a few times. It's one that I do with JavaScript, and this one of the cars here is what I do with it. So it's got a place for the phone to go, and it drives. It's an autonomous vehicle kind of thing. So that's something I'm exploring about. And then I brought a train that I'm trying to build a train controller. Kim apparently has this all sewn up. Oh, no.
And one of the parts you took.
Oh, okay. And then I'll show some of this stuff on the Hangout when we get to that point. Go, Ryan.
I'm Ryan Erickson. I've been coming to this meetup for probably 5 or 6 months as well. I've done Arduino stuff. I've done all kinds of different little projects. Right now I'm building a Wi-Fi to RGB LED strip, well, RGBW LED strip, so I can put RGB lights under over my counters in my kitchen. So I brought that because Brad said we should bring some projects to show, so I can show you what I've got, and tell you the progress, and it's fun.
That's good. How far are you on that?
Pretty far. Yep.
He's got a breadboard.
I make lights light up, which, you know, must be doing something right.
Cool.
I almost started a fire, so that's
You know you're doing it right.
yeah.
I'm Corey. I'm interested in both the Arduino and Raspberry Pi. The thing that I'm working on right now is the Sprinkler Pi project. It's supposed to monitor the weather conditions and preemptively, you know, if it's supposed to rain, it knows whether it knows to not water. Whereas with the the regular weather rain gauge, it's after the fact, and so it might have already watered, and then it rains after that. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Are you going to do that with the humidity or barometer, or take it off the weather?
Weather net.
NOAA data.
Yeah.
Yeah. You looked at Eco Sprinkler.
I'm sorry?
Eco Sprinkler.
That's the Adam and Eve thing?
No, those guys down in Alpine. I do irrigation on the side half for 12 years.
Nice.
So, yeah, I've seen hundreds iterations of smart controllers.
Very cool.
So,
But yeah, there's a Kickstarter project called Adam and Eve where they have pipes in the ground that monitors the moisture and it's supposed to magically just know how much to water. So that's in the works too. I think they use an Arduino for the States, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think the history research on that is pretty. You know, if you want it every day, then I'd be able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what algorithm they use. That was very interesting.
My name is Kevin Hughes. I'm here to take notes and learn more about the commercially available electronics. I do have a size handful of Arduino stuff, all kinds of sensors and components, and just want to learn a little bit more about it. It's been 17 years since I've done much of anything electronics, but I do currently, and most recently, I've done quite a bit more hardware wise. CNC machine, project design. A rep wrap that I'm still building about 2 years. It's a number of
So you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Well, I have the parts. I just have to finalize the frame and then.
Hey, are you joining? We're just doing the hangout here.
Microcontroller meetup.
Oh, I'm the guy that lit my dream on.
But you could join. There might be chairs if you around the corner.
Power cord to a computer.
I'm sure we could steal
Some
one.
right here.
Okay, just keep going. So
My name's Cliff. I live in the cloud, mostly Virginia and afraid of it soon. But I have had collaborations with some really great robotics grad students and stuff. I'm very interested in machine learning and control systems. The thing is, in order to do that research, I really don't have to have any robots. And so, that's too much. That's already.
okay, okay.
My name is Neil. Mostly I tinker with video game hardware, but since this is a microcontroller class, the most recent thing I've been working on with the microcontroller is a device that emulates a disk drive. So it replaces an old drive on a game system with a flash-based thing.
I like it. Probably has to simulate the delays as well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the thing would blow up if you went too fast.
All the delays and sending out the magnetic pulses that sitting on the disk.
That's great.
Yeah, I've seen they have those for Apple too that you can buy that'll use a SD card, and,
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
same idea.
Simulate disk failure and all that, right? Because you can't just be
That way you can
perfect.
have the real
The machine,
experience.
yeah, the machine would freak out if it was perfect. It would know it was fake.
So for the old video games, you need to simulate having to get an eraser out between the contacts, and
Yeah.
blow on them, and then put the cartridge in.
That's right. So, should we have Ryan? Do you want to talk about your project?
Sure.
Now, it seems like it'd be nice to be able to show your screen on the recording, but I don't know if you could join the meetup and then we could make you a presenter. I don't know how that works.
I don't know. I was planning on showing a whole lot. I mean, I could put it up on the screen so people here can see it, but
Yeah, let's just do
you
that.
know, if you have a connector for it.
Yep. I'll turn on the camera in case seeing your face will make all the difference. But here's the video connection. Is that going to work for you?
Yeah, I think it'll fit. It'll tip over your scope, but it'll be good.
It's got a lid.
Yeah, if I plug it in there. It's upside down. All right. Okay.
You might have to mirror.
Yeah, or how do you do the mirror on this thing? Forget some of these guys.
I always go to the control panel on big displays.
All right.
Range. Yeah.
Here. Okay. I got a little bit smaller there. All right.
I don't know why it's kicking into such a low resolution.
So, well, it's not the one I was looking for, but so I wanted to make this RGB project, and I've been wanting to do it for a while, but then I found these this ESP8266 module. So it's this little teeny tiny Wi-Fi module. There's one on this middle one on the board is the ESP01. They have different models, like the ESP03 is what I'm using now. This Node MCU group, they built this one here that has an ESP12 on it, and it also has a USB hardware, so you can just plug right into it. Now I have to have a USB adapter for it. Basically, the ESP8266 is a little Wi-Fi module, but it also has a controller on the module. So what the Node MCU guys did is they took Expressive's library, which is C. So you can write C applications to run on this little Wi-Fi module. Well, since it's in C, what they did is they embedded Lua. So Lua is an interpreted language. It's a great little language built to be embedded in C. So now you can load up Node MCU's firmware onto any of these little Wi-Fi chips, and you're writing code in Lua, which is much more like an Arduino. So what you can do, like for example on this chip, oops, the wrong one there. There it is. All right, so I have a USB adapter here, which does USB to TTL, 3.3 volts, okay? So that's plugged into my board here into the transmit, receive, and ground pins on this little chip, okay? Well, when I connect to that on my computer, I actually get a little prompt here, a Lua prompt, and I can actually type in Lua code. So I can do like print, blah, whatever I print, and get the results back. So I can do things on the chip from the Lua command line. All right. Well, Lua is interpreted. So yeah, you don't have to compile it. Okay. You can also download files onto the chip. Now, how it does it's kind of hokey. It actually uses the command line, opens up a file with an open file command, then it does prints into the file, and then it closes the file. And that saves it on the chip. When this firmware starts up, so this is not the firmware that comes on the module when you buy it. Okay. The firmware that comes on the module when you buy it just does AT commands. So you pretend like it's a modem, basically. AT to set the station, AP, and all that stuff. That's different AP commands. So you're okay. So, but you can download Node MCU's firmware, and then it puts Lua on there. Okay. So what you can do is you can make Lua files. It's like this init.lua. Init.lua is the one that runs when you start the project. It looks for a file called init.lua, and then it runs that one, and then you can have it load other files. Okay. So in my init.lua, I set up my GPIOs so it's not leaving the LEDs on all the time. I then just have my RGB code here. Anyway, so the code can do all kinds of good stuff. In my case, what I've done is I've implemented my RGB code. I have a little HTTP server on there. So we'll serve up a web page that I can then use the web page to control my RGBs. So I can come in here, make them brighter, darker, change the colors, all from the web page served on the same little device. So the other nice thing about these little Wi-Fi chips, these ESP8266, they're really cheap. Like the chip I'm using to do this, all the stuff that I'm doing this project was like $5, $5 or $7, and they're getting cheaper because basically I configured the chip, and I told it to go to the access point here that Brad just set up, and then I have my phone on that access point. I just hit his IP and I can control it. And I can do little scenes to have it go through the RGBs here, or I can do a little lightning mode here, you know, whatever I programmed it to do. That's cool. So.
Was that your board?
Yeah. So this right here is the chip that's doing all of that. This is one little.
How does it go about? Looks like it's non-fried. The web server.
Well, this chip has the Wi-Fi functionality to connect to the access point built in, or to be an access point. Then I've written the code in the Lua. You can write a web server. There's examples of this out here. So I just took web server code, modified it, you know, for what I want it to do. Now the web server is really pretty easy to do.
That's got to be pretty streamlined, though, right?
It is. It's very efficient. And Lua is really efficient language as well. So built to be embedded in C. It's really small.
So you built your own web service.
I found one that someone had, and I've modified it basically. But yes, I can show you the web server. It's in my main.lua. So here's the web server right here. So okay, server.net.create a TCP server. It's listening at port 80. When it connects, then it has a bunch of callbacks. So there's a receive callback. So when it's gotten data, it calls receive. All right. So that's this first callback function right here. All right.
Yeah.
And then inside of that, sent is when it's actually sent a packet and it's ready to send more. So this is where I'm sending the HTML file there. And then down here is where I'm parsing what I've sent. So I say if it's a get slash, then I'm looking for my index.html. I go a little further down. I say if I get an up, then I'm modifying my intensity for RGBW, down, level, on, off. They're all my code for the web servers right there. That's the whole code. So it's pretty small.
Like TPD or something like that?
No, the web server is actually in Lua. This is the actual web server.
That's it.
That's it.
So when you build
it listens on port 80, and when it gets a request, it replies. That's it.
So when you built your controlling page,
yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Is that an HTML page?
Yes, this is an HTML page.
So then,
well, you just received that from the Lua, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
part of the code of the web server says if they're requesting slash, which is the default, you know, no, nothing, it sends them index.html and reply.
Okay.
Which has this.
Which has this.
And so then when you touch this, it's just giving the RGBW command to the.
Well, when I touch this, it's actually doing a HTTP request in JavaScript back to the web server saying, do this RGBW.
Just do that color.
Or these scenes, it's just sending a command.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So then you just, okay. That's awesome.
So you put out this one, like a lightning one, cycle.
Lightning, for example, it's just a little piece of code, and I call that code. So if I go here, lightning, I call lightning, and lightning is in a different function, in a different file, which I call frequency.lua. So we have lightning. Let's see what you wrote. Here's lightning. Okay, lightning saves the intensity of whatever's on, and then it does this little loop 5 times. It does a delay, and then it turns everything on, and then does
so
delay,
that's,
turns
was that like
off.
brighting it? Is that your intensity? Is that like a bright?
Well, because you could actually be all the way down in intensity. You could have this dim way down.
Okay.
And then when I do lightning, I want those to be bright. So I save what the intensity was, set the intensity to 100.
Okay, so that's max intensity there, and then so you got a 1 to 100 as far as light power is concerned.
Intensity is really just something I've built into my program. It's really doing PWM 0 to 1023. You know, off is 0, 1023 is full on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I just translate with the intensity. And the reason I have intensity built in is because I was playing with this and left it turned on full brightness for about 10 or 20 minutes.
Started melting it.
I started melting this because this is all tightly packed and got really, it was too hot to hold, you know. It wasn't smoking, but this was all melty. So I added so I added the intensity function so I could leave it running and not have it running at full brightness on
How much
everything.
voltage does that run on?
12 volt. That's 12
No,
volt
that's
strips.
interesting because you didn't think that it could have that kind of heat.
If they're stretched out, they don't get all that hot.
Okay.
But if you look, this is really tight loop in there, and there's no room for it to cool off. And if you look, if I turn these on all the way, turn my intensity up, you can see that the middle section of them is actually discolored. It actually, I think it's the silicone cover over them. I think it got so hot that it discolored.
Wow, that's
So,
cool.
but this is actually a strip I've had for 2 or 3 years. I bought on a whim and just mess around with, so I don't mind so much.
So just to be clear, I mean, that would run on my phone.
Sure.
Your phone has nothing to do with what's...
Well, this is just a web page. The phone's just
Exactly.
reading the web page and sending web commands. It run on my computer too, you know.
Yeah, I would have
Same
written
thing.
lightning.
Would run on
You could, but then you have to send the HTTP commands for all of them. So the timing's not good, right?
So you're going to make all this cool code available?
Sure, there's nothing magic about it. Just taking.
Oh, yeah, it's on
There's
GitHub,
actually
right?
one other. Not yet. There's
It's a
another.
really good program.
There's actually another good feature of this is, I don't have a button to do a reset, but if you reset the program, my program, it deletes the access point settings and reboots. So when that comes up, it sets up its own access point that you can connect to on your phone, and then you tell it what access point to connect to, it'll restart and connect to that access point. So there's configuration of the node as well as the web server to do the RGB. So that was someone else's code that I integrated in with my code.
So you're saying you use your phone to connect to that, and then with your phone you just tell it what it's
Yeah, it's just a little form. I would then say, here's my access point, my password. It reboots, connects up to that.
I like that.
I don't currently have a way to say what its IP address is. You'd have to be looking at a terminal for that.
So if you were in the middle of the desert and you had a Wi-Fi with you and a router, you could plug that into 12 volts, power your router up, and run everything over the
Run a big
router.
sign that says help, right?
You could.
Flashing sign.
You run out of battery, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
So all of this is Lulu.
They're all
That's all
12 volt
Lua,
anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
You
All
plug it into
batteries
the
are-
wall and you jack it down to 12 volts.
What's that? Oh, no, that was before. Okay, so that comment that says not enough memory for this, I fixed that a couple days ago. Didn't get the comment out. The Lua interpreter it's running only has a certain heap size. It's not extremely large. It's smaller than an Arduino, but so it's as capable as an Arduino, but you probably can't do quite as big of a project. So I was running out of memory in the heap when I was trying to load these files, and I found, I don't know, who's familiar with Lua? Does anyone actually use Lua? I actually use Lua every day. It's what I program in at work. So this is really in my wheelhouse. But Lua, by default, uses doubles for numbers. Not an integer, it uses double. Again, it always has. It's like 98 or something like that. Well, you can change that to be int. And so what they did is they have two versions of the firmware. One of them's the double version, one of them's int. So I found out, well, if you use the int version, you have more heap space. You know, your variables are all smaller. They're like half the size. So that helped. No, it's 32-bit processor. Yeah, the expressive. This Wi-Fi chip has the Wi-Fi stuff and a 32-bit processor that you could program in C if you want.
Where's the chip? Which one is the Wi-Fi? This guy?
Yeah. The module, you usually don't buy it as a chip. You buy it as a whole little module. So
like a card,
here's one right here. Here's a module. Okay. Here's the one I'm using. I'll have to find that. Okay, so these are, if you just look on the internet, ESP 8266. And there's all these modules, and some of them are like this guy that you can put into a breadboard. Some of them are not. So, like it's sales call or something. Anyway.
Did you say that it has its own access point then? So
it can be an access point.
Right.
Yes.
So the first time you connect to it, it's its own you're connecting to it.
By
Wi-Fi.
default, it doesn't do any of that.
Oh,
By default, this module comes with transmit, receive pairs, and ground, and it talks AT commands.
oh.
Okay, I'm loading a firmware that lets you write Lua programs, and my Lua program, if it doesn't have any access point information, will become an access point and let you enter the access point information.
Right.
But that's my program that does it, not the firmware specifically.
So you're using a programmer to put the right to
But I'm just doing it over this USB connection.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it actually downloads it over the USB connection and saves it to the node in the flash of the node. So there's tools to do that. I just do it in Linux or in Mac.
They go quick download and then it goes up.
So for example, I mean, right now, so if I get in this terminal, I can do Lua stuff, you know, whatever I'm doing here in Lua, or I can get out of the terminal and I can use a program called luatool.py, which I just have a little script that calls that, and then it's actually writing out my script by telling it to write it in write line statements on the command line, and then it'll close the file. So it's a little hokey how you have to send the Lua files to it, but it works. So there, it just wrote my init files. So if I reboot, it'll run this one instead of the one it had before. So it's just a nice little environment. Node MCU makes the firmware that makes the Lua stuff, which makes the whole lot easier. I don't need an Arduino, because the first version of this setup to do the RGB used this Wi-Fi chip running with the just AT commands and a teensy Arduino. So my firmware was on the Arduino, and then this guy would just be used for Wi-Fi. But I figured,
Well, that's gotta be pretty expensive.
yeah, both of the modules together is way more expensive than one little $5 module.
Nowhere near the functionality.
The Arduino is slower. And the Arduino does 256-step PWM. This guy does 1024-step PWM. So it's higher functionality, lower cost. So why do an Arduino? I'm making 6 of them for my kitchen. I don't want to buy 6 Arduinos if I don't need to.
Yeah, we should do everything with this little guy.
Well,
in Lua.
like I said, they're small. It's a small amount of program space. So you can't do a huge thing with it, from what I've seen.
How much program space?
I don't know. It actually, in Lua, it's whatever you're using on the heat. So if you actually have a lot of long strings in there, that's taking up a lot of heat space. You can't use for your program. What's that?
Can you time together?
Time what together?
Well, yeah, how much memory space? I mean, how much space have you got in that little chip? If you're doing something bigger, could you just can you like daisy chain them? And,
no, not really.
Okay. No. So would you just create a separate program?
If I were trying
just
to
create
do something
2 programs to run it, like I've got like my project. If I've got something that's looking at, you know, I don't know, water temperature or how the depth of the water in a particular pool or whatever. And so, I mean, you probably handle most of that stuff. But if I get beyond that, then can I, if I had to, break that up into, you know, just have 2 of them and then just run 2 separate deals? I mean, will it be self-running, or do you have to keep sending code back and forth to it?
No, it will just keep running whatever code you have running.
Okay, but then can you input to it with the Wi-Fi? Can you then send commands to it and have it run those commands? Is it just like open to suggestion? And then,
well, it's whatever you write in the code.
Okay.
Code by default isn't going to have anything.
No, I understand. I'm just wondering if you've got
you
that
can have
ability to have a state where you can.
But for example, this by itself, you could have a program of a certain size. And you can see with this RGB, I have a lot of functionality in there.
Right.
You know, in this one chip. But I'm probably 2/3 or 3/4 full from what I could stuff into there.
Okay.
If I want to do something more, I would use this guy to access the Wi-Fi because it's super cheap.
Right.
And I would use an Arduino. You get Arduinos in various capabilities. If the Arduino's not big enough, I'd use a Raspberry Pi with a Wi-Fi dongle stuck in it.
Okay.
You know, which is also, the Wi-Fi dongle is only $5 to add to the Raspberry Pi. Okay. So it's just a whole, you just have varying levels of capabilities and prices. This one just happens for me to be
perfect for
such a low price at just enough functionality to do what I want to do.
What is that module called again?
It's the ESP 8266.
So it's an SoC too.
Yes.
That's what they call it.
It is an SoC, but I don't want to program it in C. I don't want to have to use their tools and build their libraries. I'd rather program it in Lua because that's what I know.
The original purpose, like AT commands, principally non-principally all.
I couldn't say. I'm not the manufacturer. I don't know what their intent was. That's the firmware they ship it with just does AT commands. So you'd use it as like a coprocessor, a Wi-Fi coprocessor. It's this Node MCU. If you just type Node MCU into Google, you'll get here. They have a GitHub page. You can just download it.
Look at it like there's a community forum too.
Oh yeah. There's tons of info on the 8266. Funny thing is, about 6 months ago when this first came out, it was on Hackaday. They said, hey, there's these new Wi-Fi modules out of China. They're like $7 or $5. Super cheap. There's no documentation on it that we can find, but you can send AT commands to do some stuff. Here's what we figured out so far. A month later, they figured out most of it. A month after that, the manufacturer released a data sheet in Chinese that they translated into English and knew most everything. Now the manufacturer has released the SDK and everything, and people are making alternate firmwares for it, like the Node MCU firmware. So it's just like 1,000 flowers of bloom from this little cheap Wi-Fi module. Anyway, it's a fun thing. Any other questions?
Great, thank you.
It's so cute.
It is cute. It's fun. There's all kinds of nowadays. There's actually a module called ESP 201, I think it is. That's more like this guy that has a USB built in and it has pin spacing that you can use on a breadboard. They're really popular because the ones I'm using, you have to basically build an adapter for it for a breadboard, which is kind of a pain, and you have to have your own USB to TTL thing, and anyway, so they're getting to where you can use it for hobbyists.
One more time, the name of that.
ESP 8266. ESP.
How many units of the output did you get from it?
It depends on the chip. It actually depends on the module. Like this module, the ESP01, only has 2 GPIOs. The 03, which I'm using, has 5 or 6 GPIOs. The ESP12 has, I think, 8. It's not a huge amount of IOs.
Most of you are sending commands to your controller. Can you receive stuff? I mean, could you set up a video camera to that and then get video so you can back?
Video is pretty high.
Would that be too much?
Level, I would say I would not try that. You're talking Raspberry Pi. Okay. You're not talking the Arduino amount. You're not talking this guy. Yeah, that's just not. It's built for really Internet of Things. You want to turn something on. You want to turn something off. You want to set some colors, make some pretty things.
It makes some
it's really good for that.
To control
video, that's like way over there.
Okay. Cool.
What?
BeagleBone.
Yeah, BeagleBone or Raspberry Pi, something to a real computer. Yeah. Again, there's levels.
Yeah, but, they cost like $50.
I know, pretty cheap. I don't want to buy 6 of them though.
Yeah. I'm going to take your video. Paul, do you want to talk about your thing again? But sit in the hot seat and do it here?
Oh, like right today?
Yeah, do you have time?
Sure.
If you try it, I have no experience. I ran out a month ago.
Because the original Raspberry Pi,
I'm really at like the beginning stages of this project. So there's not much funds to show yet, but
You could talk about it. I think it'd be cool.
talk about it. Get input.
Okay, I'm going to put Paul on screen here. We can see if you needed to put anything in front of the camera so that we can see it on the big screen. Can you turn off the...
And it's tough here because I mean, truly,
In your spot?
Or a hot seat.
Or do you want me to put you on the screen?
He's got his camera, so if you sit here, you can see
so
it.
people can see me.
They're afraid to get the person.
Okay.
So the remote person.
I don't have as much to show necessarily.
So-
on this.
you know, and then I'm adding species to my cycle that are normally not there. And, you know, normally on.
Do we know who this person is?
I don't know. Do you know who the remote person is?
Hi, remote person.
Probably just my brother.
Oh, okay.
So we're also going on the record. This is our recording.
Oh, great.
Well, I don't know why.
This is our amazing thing. If you don't mind. Yeah. All right.
No, I mean,
Well, do we want to talk or do we?
Yeah.
Do we want to?
So let Paul go. He's
Okay.
gonna talk about his project.
So I've just started this project Monday, literally. So, yeah, it's pretty new, but it's my main project I'm working on right now. So there's a lot of, and this is more back into the Arduino space, but there's quite a number of Arduinos that have come out recently with Bluetooth Low Energy that are like built in. So this is one, and we can pass it around if you want. But this is called the Light Blue Beam. It's by a company called Punch Through Designs. They've come out with their own Bluetooth Low Energy module, and I think that's kind of their way of promoting it. So it was a crowdsource funded thing last year. I got a bunch of them, and I haven't actually done anything with them until now. So going through and playing with them, there's the cool thing about this one is they have an app for the phone that you can actually write C code and upload it from your phone to the device. And so it's really kind of handy. You can do with, you know, like just a tablet or a phone, and you can also interface with the computer. They also have an app, and most of these do, where they have some sliders or some arbitrary buttons that send kind of different codes to the device. But so the project that I've wanted to do is with Bluetooth Low Energy, I feel it's largely made to communicate with mobile devices. And so I'm building a mobile app for iOS that will have, basically, you'll just kind of have a canvas workplace space, and you can drag on and put on different buttons and different shapes and sizes that you'll then kind of tell them what commands you want it to send to the beam. And then, so you can just type it in. It will be without any programming or anything like that. And so I'm building this all in with Objective-C for iOS right now. And yeah, that's kind of the idea, is that without needing to get into the whole phone development side, because that's a lot beefier and a lot more work from just doing some simple like Arduino code on the device, that you can make like a little controller or remote that will be customizable to whatever project you have. I can pass around, like I have, so right now, like I have this kind of example where you can connect to the device and you can't really do too much, but it gives you all the services. And then in my app, like I've laid out some of the basics of the UI. That's now crashing because I was actually working on it just now and I updated some stuff. Now it doesn't even work, so it crashes. I could like go back on my repo and go back to the older version. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have questions about it. I mean, that's kind of in a nutshell. I don't have tons to show. I think maybe next month I'll bring it in and show kind of
Basically, the app you're developing communicates with that other device.
Exactly. So this is all, it's just using Bluetooth Low Energy. There's no Wi-Fi or other services like this. And basically the idea is that with that and doing like an Arduino or hardware project, you'll like wire in the like different sensors or LEDs or whatever you want to connect. And maybe you make like a little robot thing. But to be able to control it,
A lot of the time, you kind of need to have a native app to get a lot of the usefulness out of it. And so the idea is I'm building a native app that you can actually completely customize. So you'll be able to just like drag on, like you'll have this canvas area, and you can drag on different buttons and tell the buttons what to send to the device. And then you'll have to write code on the other side, obviously, to interpret, you know, what that command means. But
Not knowing much about Bluetooth,
yeah.
how does this device then communicate with your device that's going to do something? How do you connect this?
So this is an Arduino. So it's an Arduino with built-in Bluetooth. Yeah. So it has, this one is limited, I think it's like 5, 6 or something. It has PWM. Pretty much. This particular one is called a light blue bean. It's by a company called Punch Through Designs. I think it's punchthrough.com.
Yeah. So are these pins here actually usable pins?
Yeah, so you can wire up. The board has on it, it has an Atmega 328, which is what's in the Arduino Uno. A lot of that is used up to work with the Bluetooth and stuff like that. They have an RGB LED that I can turn on with their app here. So they have a companion app that's pretty cool, but again, it's not something that you could use as kind of a finished project or for your kind of hacked project. And so that's what I'm working on.
Does it look like a serial port protocol when you're talking to the Bluetooth?
Yeah.
device?
Yeah, so they have a serial port. Is the battery in that?
It is.
Oh man, is it in right? Did I put it in backwards?
That's a different question.
So
Yeah.
how do you distinguish between your phone and my phone? And you have to pair it.
Yeah, so you can, like with the app, it will discover the bean, and it is kind of a, like they call them beans, and they show up as like a bean. And then this will have kind of the protocol.
But I mean,
Maybe you can try it. I can't see it, so you're probably not going to be able to see it. I think I have. I have another battery here. When I'm developing on it, it kind of goes through the batteries faster. You can program it so it will.
Can you?
They say you can get like a year on a coin cell battery.
What's the name on it?
It should say bean, I think.
It's going to be a race to pair.
There we go.
Only one.
I'm curious to see if people can see it. I've only ever tried it.
I see iPhone, Drawbot, Slim, and you.
Hello.
Yeah, bean. There we go. So we got one on the Samsung here that's showing up. There's a fresh.
So there's.
I don't
when you
think
go
so.
to.
There we go. So yes, that answers your question. Hopefully you can see it.
What's the password?
Don't think it has one. I don't know if it's. You guys are gonna brick my. You're gonna brick my Arduino here. So I can connect to it. It has an RGB built in, and so some of the things like you'll be able to control are the RGB. It has a temperature sensor and an accelerometer, and the Atmega 328. Somebody's connected to it here, and they've locked me out.
All right, hijacked it.
So what is
Hopefully I can get it back. Otherwise, I'm going to be out of.
Slim is my phone. I can see you're trying to get through.
Say congratulations, we bricked your bean. There we go. I'm going to see bean. I should probably set a pin code on it before somebody. There we go.
Somewhere.
So
Bricked that one. Sorry.
probably with the light off, you could see it's got a little RGB. It's pretty, not all that bright, but they have a little.
It's enough for an indicator, though.
Yeah, for like an indicator. And so one of the big things with these, a lot of people on the forums, the current apps don't have like you can't read the serial like back. So like if this sends out a serial command, you can't read it. And so that's one of the things that I hope to put in mine is that
one-way device right now.
Right now,
you're talking
at least
on
with their
program,
app, on their program, on their app. So it's sending it out like the device is two-way. App isn't receiving that. So that's one of the things I want to look at. I don't know if there's a limitation on their stack. Unfortunately, the stack on the Bluetooth device is actually closed sourced, but everything else is open source.
Oh, so the
so add my own profiles, then or services is what they're called. Then I can't do that. But they're adding more services or various stuff. So mostly you just do everything through serial type communications. And so that's what I would do is I'd send, you would basically type in like a string you want, and when you hit that button, it would send that string over serial to the device. Okay. And then on the other side, you receive the serial, you interpret it. And I hope to also have where it can receive serial and like print out a little bit. So I don't know if this side saw it. Yeah, they got passed around.
How much do the modules cost? 30.
Yeah, they're $30 if you buy bunches. They give them to you a little cheaper.
Should we? Does anyone want to buy one of these? I think we should do a group buy. Just have some more ready for the next
video. They're pretty cool. Maybe I'll have my app thing going by then. But I don't know how many people are on iOS. I see lots of Androids around here.
Is it iOS only?
I don't know how to program on Android, so yeah, right now. Yeah, I have to learn how to program there, but maybe if I'll launch it here, and if it's like wildly popular, then I'll learn.
So we'll kickstart it, make a lot of money, right?
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of the thing. I can show people like UI.
Before you get a free maker kit, which I'm sure is like a sticker and some.
It's extra batteries, which are really nice. Because when you're developing with them, they're
2032.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have.
Buy those in China.
I get them by the pallet at work.
Go for it. Okay. Yeah. I should talk to you then.
I have pallets of 2032s.
Yeah.
2032, 2016.
I've noticed like with a lot of batteries, like the quality of the battery varies a lot.
Oh, my quality is nowhere near what you want, but it will last for a program cycle or whatever, and then you go there. So
are you selling them?
No, I say that if we're gonna do this, we need a bunch of batteries for the night where we program. I will bring a box of 100. No big deal. So
all right,
yeah.
Let's do it. Sounds like fun.
So do you guys want to just comment on the meetup if you want to join our group buy on this? We'll just buy a bunch of them. And,
What did you say the price
for our next
they're $30, and I don't, 28 if
I'm on the site right now. 30 individually, or 28 if you buy 4 or more. 28.50. So I guess everybody puts in 30 and then call it good. You do just a Bitcoin for it, maybe. Manage a Bitcoin for us, and just
So
they're jerks if they don't.
I know.
they sell them on MakerShed. Do they take Bitcoin there?
I know Adafruit does.
Adafruit, yeah.
Adafruit and SparkFun both do, I think.
I don't think Adafruit or SparkFun are carrying this currently. MakerShed does, and I think I've seen a couple other places. Oh, and Saturday is Arduino Day. SparkFun, I know, has discounts. So if anybody's wanting to buy stuff.
We were trying to get signed up for the, what's it called? There's a, I don't know if it's the Arduino Day or if there's another thing. You have to.
T-shirts and stickers and stuff.
Yeah, they send you Raspberry Pis. Like I think they send you 5 if you participate in the thing. Instructables. So, but the problem was we couldn't even sign up because we don't have any Instructables. So
that's why you're asking about Instructable papers.
If you're going to create an Instructable, I mean, if you're going to document a project, make an Instructable form for it and join our team, and then we can use you the next time we have this problem. So yes, Instructables. Let's make one or two of them. I'll do the same thing if I ever get anything to a point.
Well, that's like if you have a finished project and like document it. You get
Yeah, yeah.
post some Raspberry Pi at it.
Yes.
Cool.
Do people, I don't know what the interest is, like right now, like I'm writing a lot of code to work with these and the native apps. It is all like, most of what I'm doing is pretty iOS centric though, so I don't know, like if people want, like I can share more of that stuff, like especially next month once I have more to share, or it sounds like, I think we've got a pretty heavily Android group here.
I've written a bit to see. I could read it.
And Fire OS, right? Firefox.
If it's not JavaScript, I don't know.
I know I got one like iOS friend over here. So
all right.
he unfortunately had to hear about this last night.
Oh,
So
same thing.
same thing.
All right, that'll be fun. That's a good segue too to the thing that I've been trying to do.
There is a, I believe that right now they have an unofficial Android SDK that works pretty well. They're still developing and kicking out a lot of that stuff. So I imagine a lot of it's going to be somewhat similar on Android. So one of the things that came up when we were all trying to search for this device is the iOS, when you're looking for Bluetooth devices, iOS filters out devices that it doesn't think it can pair with. Like if your device just supports the serial port protocol, iOS will hide it from your list. Are you aware of this? So this all came up because, so this is the car. You can't really see it on there, but this is a Bluetooth.
Just in the native operating system?
Yeah, yeah. So
okay.
the native pairing dialog is possibly different from the.
When you're programming and you call for it, it's actually very easy to, like I was talking to another guy that's writing some stuff for Bluetooth, and he said that it actually sucks in like everything.
Oh, okay.
When you're like programming. And
You
so
might
I think
be
it's
setting
the
flags.
OS is probably trying to be user friendly and kick out stuff that you
Yeah.
probably don't want.
Well, so maybe we should get together because I'll tell you the problem that I've had. So they don't document how you drive this thing. You send commands over a Bluetooth serial connection, and that's how you drive it. And they only have code running on iOS to talk to it.
Okay.
So one of my thoughts was, it's a cheap device, and it'd be great with a little Firefox phone on it, driving around being an autonomous vehicle, right? And it's currently available, which is not true of any of the other things that I've played around with. So I really wanted to reverse engineer it. So I thought, well, I could open up the chip and I could just put a tap on, the data lines and watch the data come across. But I opened it up and it's just one chip. It's a black box. So my next thought was, well, I just need to do a man in the middle.
Yeah.
Because when you drive this thing, it actually tells you to go out to the OS pairing, just find the device and connect, and then go into the app and drive it. So it just needs you to be connected to any Bluetooth serial device, and then you go into the app and you drive it. And I could totally do a man in the middle. I could just pass things back and forth, and there's a program that's made for this. It's called SL Sniff. So it's made for listening to one serial port and writing to another one. So here's the problem. The generic dialog filters everything out. I don't know what magic I need to do to make it so that the device will appear in that generic pairing diagram. Maybe if I had some custom code like you're working with that had the complete list, I could make the connection and then jump over to, I don't know if you can leave the connection open, but then I could jump over to this app and try it.
If you paired it from the other one, it may show up in your list in the OS specific one as well.
Yeah, I think we need to do some
it
hacking.
once, maybe.
I think you need to
show
sniff it. I haven't ever done any like Bluetooth sniffing. I was watching some videos on it.
Well, so
this week.
there's another thing you could do, which is jailbreak the iPhone.
Yeah.
And then there are tools you can run on the iPhone that'll show you what's happening on the Bluetooth.
Yeah, so you can just run that probably with a developer account. It's almost like jailbreaking without jailbreaking.
But I don't have
So I can
I don't have the source code for the app though. I mean, if I'm going to be in dev mode, I need to build the app.
Yeah.
Because I can't just use something that's on the store.
So,
And if I had the source code, that
Then
would
you
be a
need to raise
really
the source
quick,
code.
short problem.
That's what you need. Just tell them to say the source code.
Yeah. Or at least just.
They won't share anything with me, and I think part of it
The
is
company?
yeah, they won't talk to me.
Who makes it? Like,
It's made by
is it like a smaller company?
no, it's one you've heard of. They do lots of Apple stuff, iOS stuff.
It'd probably be a popular GitHub if you
Yeah.
reverse engineer the stuff and.
Oh, it was on the tip of my tongue.
Or they may not actually
Griffin.
know what it is.
It's Griffin. It may be that they
Maybe
are
OEM from
reselling
China.
something else. Yeah.
I find the FCC ID, find out if it really makes it.
I did actually. I opened it up and I looked at some chip numbers and I did searches on that and I found some stuff where they were getting FCC compliance done and found some. I thought about emailing the guy because there's an email address on there. Just say, please, just tell me the protocol. Come on, I won't say where it came from.
I'll tell them a truck somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I found it in a garbage can.
In China.
So, that's the project that I really want to crack. The next thing, maybe some iOS coding is needed.
Yeah.
Let me show you one other thing before we kind of turn. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up? No? Okay. There's one other thing, which is I wanted to be able to control a model train. And I don't know if you can see, I don't know if that's useful to put it on the screen. Not really.
I think we've seen trains before, Brad.
Yeah. Why is that
remote
backwards?
control cars. You have remote control cars every month. It's a new one.
That's the running
Yeah,
joke.
it's on a track.
It's
I can't.
different.
It can't be autonomous. So I want to be able to control this thing with a Raspberry Pi, and I, or maybe what I need to do is your board. But what I really want to be able to do is have an app that's controlling it. And my thought was an Arduino was not quite going to be as easy because then I'd need the Wi-Fi module. Again, yours might bring it all together. I found a project that uses this little, I guess it's like a voltage controller. And there's a newer kind of train called a DCC train that it listens for PWM signals on the voltage. And you can have individually addressable trains. You can have some going faster than others or backwards or stopping. And yeah, so all the things that you couldn't do with just the analog trains that only every train has the same speed, you know. We have the problem that one of our trains is a lot faster than the other one. And so what we do if we want to run them together is we have a loop, a shorter loop. We send the fast one on the short loop and the slow one, oh wait, no, the other way around. The fast one has to go on the long loop and you have to keep switching it and keep them from crashing. And it's good fun.
What kind of control do you want to have in this thing? What functions are you looking to control?
So it would be speed and direction for individual trains. Yeah, for multiple trains. If you have, yeah, I think that's what it does.
So there's an underlying signal in the current, and then you can just control it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying that you get the DC for the track,
Mm-hmm.
and then you hopefully modulate that DC to each of the individual motors in the train.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just use?
Well, it's DC signaling over the DC power, and then the trains themselves modulate their speed.
And each train has an ID that you set.
Either of the ones that they showed us, right? Supposed to, with the controlling your, folks would modulate the DC that's coming up going to the motor.
Yeah.
And that way you can have a control app on the phone or whatever for each engine.
Yeah, you could. The only reason I decided to use this controller is because I would have to build something to do like voltage conversion, since the Raspberry Pi is just doing 3 volts and 5 volts on board. So this was a nice module. I think I'm going to be able to have something maybe by the end of the month. Yeah, this thing needs both 5 volts and 12 volts. When I put a multimeter on this train when it's running in analog mode, it's an 18-volt signal. So maybe when you run 12 volts, it doesn't go quite as fast. Maybe it's a little slower for the old trains, the old analog trains.
You could just do the you know, do a resistor strip and 18,005 and pull up each.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to explore a little bit. I haven't built the, I mean, there's a guy who has this working. And I built the app, but I haven't wired it up. So I'm close, and then I'll be able to build one.
There's switchboard.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, that's where they're very cheap. They have some inverters.
And
they're just itty bitty. So is each train going to have its own controller, or is the Raspberry Pi run by itself?
You have to get a more expensive train that has the logic built in. I mean, we talked about how you could take an old train like this that's 50 years old or whatever, and you could add the logic so that it knew how to do this stuff. But I think it'll be easier just to buy a couple of the new ones.
I think that's the real advantage of using a DCC.
An Arduino in one of the cars,
yeah,
and then drop the voltage down using PWM.
Yep. I think that's what they do. Essentially, they may not do it with an Arduino.
Maybe not an Arduino. Something with a PWM output.
Still going to run into an issue where it won't be matched exactly. One of them is still catch up, and the proximity sensor.
Getting more complicated all the time.
Just the measure if it's getting close to something.
Yeah.
Now you got an ultrasonic sensor sitting on the front of your train that's that wide.
It's going to become
autonomous.
Yes.
Can't go through the tunnel.
I'm going to have to send a phone around it.
Probably do it with like an LED.
You know what you really should do?
Sensor.
You should put your phone on the train.
Yeah.
And it could be running Firefox.
Yeah.
Firefox phone. That's
JavaScript. So I'm doing this totally wrong. I just need to have 12 volts going into the track, and then all the smarts are in every engine and every car, right? And every engine and every car needs to have a tiny.
Each engine in every car has its own Firefox phone.
That's right.
All you really need to do is
just create all new guts for this. Just take the lid off and then just create a brand new.
I think there's some room.
And just make a brand new gut, and you're good.
Yeah, there's a lot of engine in there.
See, and then drill a hole here, and you got your camera and your other sensors, and you just got a micro fit, a little proximity sensor, and you're good to go.
Actually, what you do is instead of using this, you need a 3D print a bigger cover, so you can put everything in there.
Yeah.
Well, I want to do it.
You could just hologram the top.
We can't do N scale or Z scale, right?
No,
None of this will
too
fit at
small.
those scales. It'd be much easier at the garden size.
That's right.
So if you put 2 cameras on the front,
That would be cool.
That fits
Yeah.
just
you can
fine.
transmit the video
There you go.
to your VR
Brad,
headset.
problem solved.
Look at that. It's ready to go. Okay. That would totally fit, wouldn't it?
In fact, easier would be to just rip the Bluetooth out of that car and wire up a new one.
Put enough crap in there, you won't need the lead weight.
Sells a lot of little fingers and
Yeah, yeah. Okay, put that back in there. Get those
drill
together.
bits and stuff. And they've got all the.
I don't think I would quite fit in there. It's too wide.
They're basically
Well,
a trained
the other body
and they've
is
got
this width all the way down.
the cameras and stuff in there that'll work with fat sharks.
No.
In the train? In the train.
Oh, cool. Put that link on the thing.
Be easier if you start with a full-size
text
train.
it to me or something.
They got plenty of space.
No. What I was going to do is totally wrong.
You were going to try and do something where like it would be easy and quick to get done.
It's not revolutionary what I do.
So I have a question. Since you're going to put on the maker site about buying that, I'd like to see if we can buy some of those Wi-Fi.
I don't think you get a better group by price, but you know you could order a bunch of them at once. That's
They're
for
all
sure.
over the place, like
Yeah.
AliExpress or something.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where I got some.
Yeah, at least save on shipping.
Yeah, you just gotta wait. You just gotta wait 3 weeks or whatever. You know, that's fine. By that time I forgot. By that time I forgot what I ordered.
Yeah,
it's like
and
it's
then
like
if you go back
Christmas.
to their parents' site, where was it? It was, yeah.
Anyway, I'd like to see if you can put that
I
on
seriously,
the
this
same
one
thing
came, but I
as-
forgot and I
So if you
ordered
go
it.
back to their parents' site, you
I
can do it
had to
like
go back
500.
and
Yeah.
Did I really buy one?
So 10 would
I
get
guess I did.
$7. 125, 5, I think it's gonna be the best deal. So
This is the thing, so I got to run.
That
Thanks so
supports
much,
the people
guys.
who make the firmware.
Hey,
that
thanks
I
for coming.
use, so I don't feel bad about buying it.
So one, that's $30. 4, 28, 10. But I think it's we'll save on the shipping though. It's probably gonna
So this one is a
5, 8, $10 for UPS shipping. And so for each doing that, 30. So the shipping is what we're going to save on more than anything else.
Well,
They're pretty. They come in just a really small box. They actually ship them on. So then I would also double check the. I know they have iOS. I mean, they have 2 iOS apps that are out and shipped. But I double check which. I know they're still building some of the apps. So,
But it's one that allows for lots of connections, right? I mean, Wi-Fi is kind of hard to do.
Yeah, I think Android app is shipped and Windows just shipped like but it seems like there's something that hasn't shipped yet. And I don't know if it's just SDKs for Android and Windows.
We have the Apple SDK there.
no, I
Yeah.
made this one, but I made this little
And do
carrier
they
board
have
here. I soldered it on.
Probably if you go
Because I tried to wire it, and it never worked. I don't know why.
Well, just the companion like Android app.
Yeah, so there's your Arduino ID.
I
Let's
ended up
see.
doing a toner transfer. Yeah, so you could do it with Arduino.
That's what I'm most familiar with, the Arduino.
Yeah, so they have a plugin for that.
Yeah.
But I know they shipped the Mac version first, and it seems like the Windows version maybe just shipped there. So if people are doing it, they probably want to double check whatever devices they have are going to work, because to buy this $30 thing, I'll be able to do it.
I've got a big building.
So I know Mac and iOS are good to go, but
Even if you didn't have these set, it's still not going to be able to, even if you could modulate it.
Like this USB USB plug in your computer is a USB to 3.3 volts.
So,
yeah,
so it
so
doesn't
yeah.
have the potential if one of them will be faster, they'll eventually catch up. One
Yeah.
can catch up to the other. So
Yeah.
that's why I was thinking if you had something that would, do you know how much amperage you can get across the oil?
I'm not sure.
Very likely if you could run it through the 4 trains, you could run these type of electronics off of that. The amount of space you have in there. So that's very easy.
Yeah, I think it'd be smashed. But there's another body. I've got another train and it's got the same width all the way down. So you like this spot where the weight would be a good spot because it'd be nice and open and lots of room. So I think that would fit.
Had to run wires back, just like we've done here. So you have to run wires back to house it in a larger area.
And it doesn't have to be coin cell operated, right? You could steal voltage from down here.
Yeah, you'd be able to pull right off. It's not going to any kind of amperage drop.